Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Colin here. I'm helped this afternoon by my friendly cat Socks. You can hear him purring away like Billy-O. I'm just trying to scoot him off the table. Today's project's called Save the Shark, and we'll be building a game. Well, let's get on and let me show you. So let's go to Raspberry Pi projects. This project today is a shorter one than some of the other ones I've done. Under Protect Our Planet. Second one down, Save the Shark. And we're going to be making a game, if that's the right word for it, where we move the shark by clicking to the left and the right of the shark and catching fish and avoiding rubbish. If I get rubbish, my health goes down by I lose lives on my health. Actually, this game here is different to the one we're going to make, because we start off with a health of 20, but this one started off with health equal to 0. What do you need? You need the online version or Scratch, or the offline version. What are we going to learn? We're going to learn quite a bit about how to create random numbers. I'm also going to explain about how X and Y coordinates work on positioning, and we're going to learn how to generate and delete clones, and also how to alter the behavior of clones using the random numbers. And as a consequence of building this game, we're going to raise awareness about environmental issues, and that's like all the plastic rubbish that's being thrown in the sea. Okay. If you're using the offline version of Scratch, you need to download the starter project file, which will give you the shark and the water and some initial bits of sprite rubbish. But I'm using the online version, which takes me straight through to a project that's been ready, that has those things added to it. I'm going to remix it at the top. I'm going to save it as my version. And I'll share that with you afterwards. As per normal, I'm going to look around my sprites. I've got a shark, and he's got two costumes, a bend to the right and a bend to the left. So it looks like he's swimming. And then unfortunately, I've got some plastic, which is has 4 costumes, a bottle of pop, one of those plastic can holders that you get your that goes on the baked beans, plastic carrier bag, and they say a wrapper. I think it looks like more like a crisp packet, but anyway, the bottom line here is that it's all plastic rubbish. We have just one backdrop, and that's our blue water. And what we're going to do first of all is we're going to make our shark swim. So I'm going to pull down the top, Windows right arrow, come back to the main window, Windows left arrow, squash that over like that. And we're going to select our shark, make sure our shark is selected, and under control and under events, when the green flag is clicked, we're just going to make sure that whenever the game starts, that he goes and starts in the same position. So we've got a go to 0 minus 120, which is this position here. So while we're here, let's just talk about these X and Y coordinates, because it comes into play later on. There is a there is a backdrop that has X and Y coordinates printed onto it, and that's right at the end of all these costumes. I'm going to use this one here. So X equals to 0, Y equal to 0 is slap bang in the middle of our screen there. Our shark is because it's on the X equals 0 line, it's slap bang in the middle centrally, and Y is at minus 120. So bottom of the page is minus 180, and that line there is the 100 line. So the middle of this shark is about there. In fact, if you want to see exactly where the middle of the shark is, click on the costume and then click on So the middle of our shark is about there, and that's how we can control the position of this shark. If I wanted to make the shark appear at the top of the change, I need to change the Y value to be a positive number, so take it above the line. So if I type in there 150, for example, and then press the green flag, shark goes to the top. So that's shark in position X equals 0, Y equals 150. If I want to make the sprite or anything go to the left, I need to make the X value get smaller. So to make the shark, say, move to halfway along this line here, if I change the X value there to minus 120, because the biggest number I can have along here is 240, and set Y to be equal to 0, and then press go, sharky goes to halfway between the end of the line and the middle, which is also called the origin. So a minus X value brings shark left. The opposite of that is that the positive value for the X value will make the shark go to the right. And a positive value on the Y will make him go upwards. And a negative value on the Y will make him come downwards. So that's what X and Y coordinates are all about. It's the middle is called the origin and is 0, 0. Going up the page makes the Y value gets bigger. Coming down the page, the Y value goes into minus figures. To make him go right, the X value gets bigger, and to make it go left, the X value gets smaller. Hold on to that information for later on. Let's put our shark back to where he should be. So it's 0 minus 120, and that's him back in his start position for this game. We're going to use a sensing block called mouse down, and the reason we're using mouse down is because this will also work on a tablet and a tablet or a phone, and that will work on just tapping to the left and the right of our shark. So mouse down will tell us if the mouse button has been pressed or you've tapped the screen. And we need a forever loop, and we need an if statement. And we want to say if mouse down, then do something. So we're going to do a little bit of a test, and we want to say if under the sensing block there are two variables that will record the position of the X value. If I just click on there now, it's gone to minus 240 because it will only go as far as the left hand side of the page, but I'm going to use that to capture the position of my X value for the mouse, and then under looks and then under motion I can get the X position of my shark. And I'm going to say if the X position of my mouse is less than the X position of my shark, change the X value by -1, so make him go to the left. If any of that doesn't make any sense to you, just experiment until you can understand what I've been trying to say. So this is saying so basically this line of code here is saying is the mouse, once you've clicked it, to the left of the shark. If it is to the left of the shark, change the value of X by -1. Sorry, by -10, and switch your costume, next costume. So let's put that block in there, and then let's add that block inside that forever loop, so that will forever test if I click to the left hand side of the shark. Save now, press the green flag to run it. I'll tell you what, let's put the backdrop back to what we wanted. So click on backdrops and then click on that one there, that puts that back. We don't need the grid one anymore, so I can just junk that. Although you will, it's there to use if you want to help yourself later on. Come back to my shark, press the green flag. Now I click to the left hand side of the shark. You can see he's doing a little bit of a belly dance, and then he's moving away to the left. He doesn't move to the right because we haven't coded him moving right yet. That's our next job. And that's reasonably easy because I click on the shark, click on the code, I'm going to right click in here and I'm going to duplicate that bit of code there. I'm just going to take that out. I want to go and get the other type of operator, and I want to say if the mouse X position is greater than the shark's X position. So in other words, if he's to the right hand side of the shark, I need to change the value of X by positive 10. So when we say a positive number, we don't need to write. We don't need to put the positive sign on. Let's add that code in at the same level as the other code, so it's inside the original if statement. So if the mouse is being clicked, or you've touched your screen, if the X value is less, if the X value of the mouse is less than the X position of the shark, do this. If it's bigger than, if the mouse X position is greater than the X position of the shark, change X by 10. Right, let's see how that works. So it comes in the middle, click to the left, and he's still doing his hokey dokey to the left. Click to the right, and there he goes across to the right. Cool. Save now. Let's add some plastic waste. Right, don't really want to add plastic waste, but that's the instructions. I'm just going to put the costume back to the bottle of pop to begin with. And so for the rubbish, we're going to get an event when the green flag is clicked. Set its start position, so motion, go to X 0, so that's going to be bang on the midway line, and Y at 200. We're going to tell it to hide, because there's a period of time at the beginning of the game when the rubbish doesn't show. Right, and then we're going to put a control loop in here and a forever loop. Forever, I want you to create a clone of myself and wait a random number of period of time. So we just pick the wait 1 second block, then we come into operators, and there's a random block there, and we want to pick a random number between 1 and 5. Pop that in there. So that will generate a process to create the clone, but we then need to apply some clone. We then need to apply some code to the clone. So under control, when I start as a clone, I want you to show, and I want you to pick, so the next one is saying I want you to pick a random costume between 1 and 4. So random 1 to 4. We want the costume, which is under looks. Pick a costume. Although it doesn't look like you put anything else in there, if I just drag that block there and into there, that will overwrite that. Let's put that there. So let's switch to a random costume. So it'll pick one of these 4 costumes as a random costume. And then we're going to go to a random position where the Y value stays the same. So it's going to be along the top somewhere. And it's going to go from minus 200 to positive 200. So motion, go to, I'm going to duplicate that little random block I've got there, pop that in there, and it's minus 200, which means we go from the left to the right, and set Y value to be 200. Join those up, stick that on there. If I press the stop button and then go, you can see I've got one bit of rubbish has already appeared. There's another one, another one. So gradually all the rubbish will just start collecting at the top, which is good, but it's not good, is it? But it's good for our program. Now we're going to add code to our, when I start as a clone, to make it fall down to the bottom of the ocean. So there's already a variable called speed and also one called health being created. So we're going to set speed to pick a random number between -1 and -10. Well, I've got a block there, so I'm just going to borrow that block, pop that in there. -1 to -10. So that's going to pick a random number between -1 and -10. And I'm going to pop that on the end of my block there. And then I've got a repeat loop coming on here. So repeat until the Y position is less than 180. So this rubbish, as soon as it comes down to 180, we're going to stop the code. And so the operator is the less than operator. And we want the Y position. Repeat until Y position is equal to -180. And change Y by speed. And speed was that variable we've set to a random number between -1 and -10. Just pop that in there. Stick that on the bottom there. And then add a weight on the bottom of that. Control weight 0.1. You're welcome to always tinker with any of these things you set up. So I'm just going to do 0.01. I think that should make it start very quickly. So press the go flag. Wow, down comes the rubbish. So the reason these are different speeds is because the random number here is controlling the speed that they descend. So the speed coming down is between -1 and -10. And at the moment they're just accumulating on the floor, on the seabed. My shark's not moving because I haven't pressed the green flag. I've just pressed the block of code there to make this bit of code work. So press stop just to show you that. So if I click to the left and the right of my shark now, you can see it's moving. Press stop. To stop the rubbish appearing on the bottom of the seabed, we're going to add a delete this clone to the bottom of our code on the rubbish. So control delete this clone, and now the rubbish will land on the bottom of the seabed and then disappear. Save it. Need to monitor the shark's health. Now the instructions say create a variable called health, but they've already done that for us. So there it is there. And health, if I double click on these variables, it tells you what the current value is. So currently the health is set to 0. So I'm going to, I don't need that. I'm going to set health to 20. And we're going to stick that on the shark. Oh, I'm in the wrong place. So we're now going to sort out the shark's starting health. So click on the shark and come under variables, and we want set shark health to, and we want set that at 20, and we're going to pop that in there below the initial position for X and Y for the shark. At the moment the program has hidden these things from us on the screen, but I think we should have those on the screen. So I'm going to bring in the show variable health, because that helps us see how things are going. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the rubbish, and every time the shark is touching the rubbish, we're going to reduce our health by -5. So come under control. When I start this clone as another block, forever, if touching, so because shark is a sprite on the tablecloth on the desktop, we'll see shark in here. So if this clone, and we're talking about a piece of rubbish here, is touching the shark, change health by -5. by -5 and delete the clone, and that will imitate the shark eating the rubbish. We can test that. Oh, let me just put that back to 0.1 and run it. Right, I'm going to deliberately run into some rubbish to test this. So I'm going to eat some the plastic ring pull stuff, and you can see that my health has gone down. It was 20, it's now gone down to 10. So we can see that that's working. Save it. Right, now we are going to help the shark. We're going to add to the shark's health. We're going to do that by adding a fish on and then increasing this health. So if I come down to the sprites, I'm going to search for fish. You could, if you wanted to, take your own food, but we'll take the one that they've got. And fish has 4 costumes, and the code for fish is going to be exactly the same as the code for plastic, except for instead of decreasing health by -5, we're going to let it increase health by +5. So we need to copy these 3 blocks of code onto our fish. So I'm going to grab hold of that block. When the tile shakes, that's it dropped in there. Come down to this one. When the tile shaked, it's dropped into that one, and that one similarly. Come back and look at my fish. Oh my god, what a mess. If I right click here and press clean up the blocks, that undoes all that that messiness. And to begin with, I'm just going to change health by 1. Right, so the fish and the plastic have the same behavior. They're going to appear randomly along the top, but they're going to come on down. Yes, I'm just going to run that, and then we'll make a couple of improvements. Press the green flag. Gee, these fish are really big, so that's an improvement I want to make. So you can see eating the fish there is increasing my life to 22, 23, so that's working. Make sure the eating the rubbish still works. 24, here comes 2 bits of rubbish. Yeah, so that still works. Okay, things I'd like to change. I'd like to make my fish point downwards, and I think I'd like to change the size of my fish, and I think I'd like to make them appear as a random size. So 2 things to do there is when I start as a clone, I want to point in direction. So that's under motion. Point in direction, that's the one. When I start as a clone, point in direction. At the moment, all the fish were pointing to the right. I'll click that to point downwards. And then the other thing I would like to do is I would like to change their size so they appear as random sizes. So I need to pick the set size 2 block here. I'm going to borrow this random block here as a starter, and I'm going to set the size to a random size of 25 and 60. Make them small and interesting. And now when I press the green flag now, the fish will appear in random positions. I've got a lot of rubbish around me at the moment. Oh no, no. There's a little clownfish. Come on. Right. So that's all there is to this week's project. You can add some different things to it if you like. Add some sound. You could add different things coming in the water. You could change the way your health is scored. You could make your rubbish come down faster or your fish come down faster. It's entirely up to you. To share your project, just a reminder, press the share button, turn off commenting, press the share button, and then you can either copy the link at the top or press the copy link option here, I bet that's exactly the same number as at the top there. And then paste that into Facebook. Right, well, I hope you've enjoyed today's project. Quicker than some of the others. Hope you understood or begin to understand the X and Y coordinates. That's used in all sorts of different things in maths and map reading. Our next project is going to be about making a tree grow in a forest, and I look forward to seeing you then. Over and out.